All right, so welcome to our very first class on financial modeling. Okay, so tonight's class is going to be a good one. Most especially, I'll be introducing you to something very um, good for you to know as far as you understanding financial modeling has to be done. So we are going to use this very study that we have here, this very practice data which I sent to you. Okay, so it's what we are going to use for today's class. And also talking about financial modeling, because we cannot start this without understanding what it is all about. So financial modeling is just a representation of a company's operations. Of course, you know, accounting majorly looks into historical aspects too, which is very important. So it's expected that as an accountant, as an account officer or finance professional, you must be able to represent in numbers company's operations both in the past, present, and also you being able to come up with predictions. And let me also add that when you are a financial modeling expert, it's expected that you don't just analyze based on just one criteria or prediction. You make more than two predictions or up to two. For example, you should have the worst case scenario and the best case scenario if you're doing your analysis. And here in Excel is a common financial modeling tool which you can use. Now, one good thing I'll do for you is that as we proceed with this training program, by the time we are done using Excel, I'm going to put you through on Tableau. Tableau is very important. You can use it to create dashboards, to build dashboards which are important and effective as far as you visualizing your model is concerned, and also the Power BI. So that's just very important. So the purpose of modeling is just for decision making, because management of companies are not that interested in seeing bulky reports. When you model your statements perfectly, you know, it gives them more insight and they can go straight to the point to say, yes, this was what happened, this was what happened. And they could also use them to estimate cost and also project the profit of a proposed new project. So what financial modeling does is that it combines both your finance, your accounting, and business metrics to create forecast for a company's future results. Okay, so this is just what it is all about. You being able to estimate the financial performance of a project or a business by taking into account all relevant factors that are very important for you to take note of. So in today's class, starting this, we are going to look into what I call financial statements mapping. Okay, financial statement analysis mapping. So for every financial statement you're working on, you must understand how you can actually map that statement. Because, for example, if we have this data here, record here for this manufacturing company, we are given the month, we are given the year, we are given the financial details, and also the amounts. Okay, the year, the month, the year, the financial details, and also the amounts for this company. And you are told to calculate your required, because if you look in here, it shows that they have two revenue centers, they have their online store slash e-commerce department, and the company also have their sales office. So these are two revenue centers. Same company also have they also have cost of goods, sales office, online store, e-commerce department. They also have, sorry, let me add someone into this. Let me add someone that is joining us. Okay, welcome, sir. That's Nazis Ishak. Welcome. All right. So, like I'm saying, if you look into this question, you will see that this company has their cost of goods sold for sales office, for online store, and e-commerce department, and the company also has its operating expenses. Okay, and if you look at the year, you see we have this data for year 2019, year 2020, and we have for year 2021. So as a financial modeler, if you remember what I said financial modeling is the process of estimating the financial performance of a project. Now, when we talk about financial performance, of course, you know, we are looking at that of the income statement, because if we want to ascertain how a business is performing, we should be looking at that of the income statement. Okay. And of course it has a lot of profitability ratios like the profit margin, others like return on equity, and blah blah blah. Now our major focus is in ascertaining the financial performance of this business. Let's say the name of this business is XYZ Manufacturing Company Limited. Now if we want to do this, if we want to model this, we must start by mapping out this, because Excel is a tool used to analyze and explore your data set. And of course, imagine we have up to 5,000 of this kind of information here on this spreadsheet, and you're asked that, please, yes, it is mixed up, but can we know, as of 2019, we want to know what is our operating profit for 2019, what is also our operating profit for 2020, what is also our operating profit for 2021. As a financial modeler, all you have to do is to look into this to see how you can, try to build a simple model for these very statements that we have here, this account statement. Because financial modeling is just all about you building a model from scratch by implementing newly available data to it. And that's the more reason why the very step you should look into is what you building what we call the mapping. So what you're going to do to solve this problem, let's first of all look into what we are required to do. So if we come down here, you see in our required, we say required, you see required. Here we discuss some of real life examples to understand how to map a simple financial statement and to calculate the operating profits. Okay, the gross profits, to calculate the gross profits, comma, from the given comma, and the operating profits, comma, as well as the net profits from the given information. My name is Williams and I'm your lead instructor for this training program. Alright, so moving forward on this, like I said, we have to build a simple model from scratch. Okay, or if there was a model before, it's for you to maintain it, but now there are none, so we are going to implement newly available data to this. Okay, and as you can notice, all above this financial statement that we have here, okay, most times they might be complex and have a kind of a complex nature. Okay, so as a financial modeling expert, or as someone who wants to venture into this, having this as a skill, you must understand what we call financial statements mapping, because it helps you to gain an in-depth understanding, being able to sum up or being able to prepare simple models from statements like this that are being mixed up. Because as a financial analyst, one of the things I always tell my students is the okay, sorry, let me add someone. Okay. Welcome at Sir James. So what I normally tell my students is what we call the trend analysis, because it's very important. Okay, you can't say you don't you're a good financial modeler and you don't understand how to run your trend analysis. And I'm going to show you that as we round up this section in some few minutes time. Okay, so this is important for you to be able to forecast the potential future financial performance of this business, and if you should be able to make relevant assumptions of how this firm have performed or is expected to perform in forthcoming years. Okay, for instance, we might say we want to look into how much cash flow a project for this big kind of company is likely to produce within 15 or within 5 years from its initiation. Then we must be able to model it, and it's very important that you do that. So getting started first, now that you have known what financial model is used for, like I said, it is used for various situations. You can use it when you want to come up with valuation of a company. Maybe you want to valuation of an asset, pricing strategies, restructuring situations, when it comes to major acquisition, when it comes to the aspect of risk management. Financial modeling is important. Budgeting and forecasting, you need financial modeling. When you're looking at the aspect of capital allocation, and also when you look into option pricing, all these are very important. And you must be able to do this as a data analyst, as a finance professional. You must be able to do this. So we are going to look into this example in the next 5 minutes. Then we'll see how we can provide solution to the question that we have below. Okay, you can see. Okay, so we'll look into this question again, because majorly financial modeling is used for determining reasonable forecast and also to come up with aspects like this that are very important for you based on what you are doing. So let's start. This is not sensitivity analysis. I will show you all that as we proceed in the class, what we mean by sensitivity analysis and so on. So what we are looking into here is just how we can actually model a simple structure to be able to provide solution to the question that we have here, which is very important. So we want to understand the trends. In short, let me put it here. Part of what we want to do, we want to understand the trends for this business, for X, Y, Z, or for Peculiar Manufacturing Limited. We want to understand the trends for Peculiar Manufacturing Company. Okay, and I said for you to understand the trend, I'm going to show you what you can do to be able to understand the trend. So this is Peculiar, so I'm going to wrap this text. So this is Peculiar Limited. So also as a financial modeler, please, when you're formatting your color, always take notes. Don't just use any color. Make sure the color you're using is in line with the corporate color of the organization. So let's say this organization is red and blue. So I'm going to change it to reflect the corporate color of the organization. So let's say it's and yellow. So that's how you do as a financial modeler. You must be careful with colors you use. So it's very important. So I can also change this to yellow, or okay, I can use okay. We want to understand the trends for Peculiar Manufacturing Company for year, and we say for year 2019, 2020, and 2021. Okay, for year 2019, 2020, and 2021. So I believe those are the 3 years for these 3 years. So like I said, for us to be able to do this, we are told to calculate the gross profit, the operating profit, as well as the net profit from the given information. And we are going to use what we call the financial statements mapping for us to do this, because the actual uses of financial modeling, like I said, are for forecasting and understanding the trends. So you must start by understanding the trends. Each time you're given any problem to solve, always make sure you understand the trends. You need to know what have been going on in the business, so you can know what kind of decision you should be coming up with based on your analysis. And that's how we will start this as far as this training program is concerned. So now what do you do? Too much of the talk, let's go practical. First of all, I'm going to come to this new column and create a column I will call mapping, because I want to map out. If you look here, all these are mixed up. It can confuse someone. 219, 220, 221, they are all mixed up. What if they are scattered? So you have to map out. When you map out, it's going to help you as a financial modeler. I use this a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'll come and say mapping. Now in Excel, each time you're working and you notice that some cells and some text are hiding, let me drag this. I will be showing you some shortcuts in this class. Let me say some things are hiding inside the columns. You can see this line is lower, the width margin is lower, are hiding. Instead of come and expand the column, this is wrong. As a financial modeler, you don't do some certain things in my class. This is wrong. So how do you do to fill in all those columns to expand it? Just highlight everything, then double click on this first line here. It will fit in everything into the spaces. Okay, so hope you can hear me, sir. So these are some techniques that helps you expedite your workflow as a financial modeler. Then also, if for example, let's say you're working in this work and you notice some spaces, maybe there was a space here. Okay, let me go and insert a space. You can see. Okay, you can see that I inserted that space. You can see there's a blank space, and maybe in your set of data there are blank spaces. This thing can cause problem when you're mapping, or as a financial model, it can lead to which problem for you, because Excel will not take note of these blank spaces. Okay, so imagine that you have plenty blank spaces. So instead of you going through it and be deleting it one by one, delete, this is wrong. What if you have up to 5,000 information here, data here? Is that how you be deleting all the blank space? In this class, you don't do certain things. We are against that. So as a professional, you must know how to do things professionally and fast without wasting of time. So how do you remove blank spaces from your sheet of data? All you have to do, you can decide to highlight everything. When you've highlighted, you say F5 on your keyboard. Now when you click on F5 on your keyboard, it will bring this box for you. Click on special. When you click on special, it will bring this box for you. Select blank. You see where we have blank. When you click on blanks, you then say OK. So when you say OK, Excel is going to highlight all the blank spaces for you to see. You can see all the blank spaces that we have been highlighted in the whole work. Then what do? You hold your control key and click on minus. Excel is going to do what? It's going to close all those blank spaces for you. So that's just what I'm trying to say. So let me do that by hiding this column first. Now you must know how to hide column, because sometimes you may be working, you don't want people to see certain column. What do? You hide it. If for example I don't want people to see this mapping column, I will come and click and go to where we have formats. I'll click on formats. I will come to hide. I'm going to hide this column. So you can see that I've hide that column. Nobody can see what is there again. Okay, so now I will go back to that again. I will now come here. Okay, I hold my shift key. I go. Or my control shift down, so that I can actually copy all we have here. So I've done this now. And of course, if you notice before, what do you notice? You see that we have these gap spaces, right? So now let me just highlight all this downward. Let me just highlight the data sets only. You can see the data box. Then I will say F5. So when I say F5, I'm now going to say special blanks, and then I say what? OK. Excel have highlighted all the blank spaces in that row, in that data. Then I'll say control minus. So when I say control minus, what happens? Excel automatically did what? It filled in all those information, all those blank spaces that were empty. So these are some financial modeling techniques you must know in order for you to expedite your financial workflows. There are a lot of them. I cannot cover them this night. As we proceed in this training, you will get to learn everything about that. I can assure you that. All right. So moving forward, as far as that is concerned, moving forward, let's solve the problem now. Remember what we are asked to calculate: our gross profits. We are also asked and required to calculate our operating profit and our net profit from this statement that we have. Okay, this is important that you know how to do this, because this is more like a complex situation where things are mixed up. So like I said, first step, come over to a new column, call it mapping. But we need to map out each of them to categorize them so that we can be able to calculate our profits for 2019, 2020, 2021. So I'll come for mapping. I will say mapping column. I double click here to fit it in correctly. Then I'll come over here. Now when I come here, I will just come first of all and filter. So I'll use the filtering tool each time you want to map out those statements. So I'll come and highlight. Then I'll go to where we have data. I'll click on filter. So you can see that I've just filtered that header. So once I've filtered the header, I'll come to financial details. Okay, and I will click on this drop down. Now when I click on the drop down, I'm going to select only all the revenue. So I'll come and untick. So when I untick, I'm going to say what? Revenue. Hello. Okay, so I said that you're going to create, first thing you do, you filter the header. Then the purpose of filtering the header, I'm going to show you why, so that you can filter and categorize all revenue to be revenue. So as a financial modeler, you must know how to categorize them so that it will not confuse you, because this is scattered. So you must categorize all the revenue to be a revenue, all the cost of goods sold, all the operating expenses. If tax is there, all the tax as tax, all the interest as interest. Is very important. So we'll soon be rounding up. So now in Excel, you're going to use an advanced modeling function we call the SUMIFS. SUMIFS is spelled SUMIFS. So that's what you're going to use. So as an accountant, you must know how to use this, because if you're an accountant, you don't know how to use SUMIFS, then I don't know which Excel you said you know. So you must know how to use this SUMIFS. If not, for me, you don't know Excel. So make sure you learn this and watch this. So now what I'm going to do now, I need to map it out. It's scattered. So I want to map out all revenue to be revenue, all cost of goods sold, all operating expenses, That's the information we have here. So I will come to this mapping here. Okay, so when I come here first, okay, so I'm now going to do what? Under mapping, I will come, then I will come to financial details column. I will click on this drop down that appeared when I went and filter on data tab. I clicked on filter when I highlighted. So I'll click on that drop down. Now I want only the revenues. So I'll untick select all and select only revenue. The two revenues we have, all the revenue. Then I'll say okay. If I don't want to do it that way, I can come in here and type only revenue. Let only all the revenue appear. Revenue. You can see it brought out only revenues for me. So I can then say yes, Excel, keep only revenue for me. So I'll now keep it. So you can see all the revenue we have, both for 2019, 2020, 2021. This is all our revenue comes up for the two different revenue centers. So now what do? I will call them revenue. So whether it's online store revenue or sales office, I call them what? Revenue. I'm mapping them together as revenue. Unless if the company says they want to know how much we generated for online store, how much we generated for sales office, then in that case I can call those ones, I can decide to differentiate it: revenue online store, revenue sales office. Then we'll know that yes, this is this is what we made from revenue for online store. This is what we made for revenue for sales office. You can actually categorize it that way. Then you know that revenue for sales office plus revenue for online store gives us our total revenue. But here they want to know just total revenue direct, total operating expenses direct, total cost of goods sold direct. So whatever we are doing here is going to be direct. So what do I do? What do I do? We'll be rounding up in the next 5 minutes. So now I mapped out all the revenue for all the 3 years. I call it revenue. So now I'm going to copy this revenue and fill in all the columns. So what I will do, instead of wasting time, you may have up to 5,000 data sets. You don't have to come and be wasting time, copy and paste. No. Copy it once, Control C, hold your Shift key with your Control key, click down. It will bring you down to the last column in that, to the last row in that data set, that spreadsheet, there where the datas are. Then do what? Control V. As your hand is still in control, click on V. So you can see it has pasted all the revenue for me automatically immediately. So this becomes our revenue. We have mapped it as revenue. So same way, I'm going to do what? I'm going to also come and do what? Filter financial details. I will say filter all. Okay. So you can see all the revenue are now mapped out as revenue. So this way I will not be confused on revenues. Now also go and do same for all the, let me say, all the cost of goods sold. So it will bring it out. Then I'll say okay. So all the cost of goods sold are out. So I'll come to this column and also say let this be our what? Cost of goods sold. So I say cost of goods sold. So when I say this is our cost of goods sold, what do I do at this point? I'm going to also say Control C, copy, Control Shift downward, then Control V. So I've now pasted these two as our cost of goods sold. So if I go and change it back, filter to all, and I say okay, it's going to bring it. You will see cost of goods sold showed as cost of goods sold, and just like that. So also lastly, we also come and filter all our expenses. So you can see all our operating expenses are out. So I'll also say okay. So I'll also come over here and say this is our what? Operating expenses. So this is our operating. These are operating expenses. Now these operating expenses might not be like this. Maybe they are wages, salary, repairs and maintenance. Okay, so you're also going to classify them, map them out as operating expenses depending on their nature. In their nature, they are all expenses. So this is what you do. So I'll say Control C. I'll just highlight on that. I say Control C, hold my Shift key downward, Control V. So I've just pasted all the operating expenses. So once I've been able to do this, I've now mapped out this. It's only then I will now proceed to a new sheet to go and solve that problem that I've been given as a financial modeler. So what do I do? Because I'm asked to calculate the trends to know in which year, between those 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, how was our performance as a manufacturing company. So I have to map out first to be able to ascertain that or analyze. So I'll come to sheet 1. I can right click on sheet 1 and I can call it what? Statements. I just call it income statements. Okay, income statements. So when I call this our income statement, I will then start by copying out this mapping column. So I'll come and copy this column as it is like this. But I don't want to copy things that are not part of, which is the downward part. So what do? I can just decide to Control Shift down. It copies to the ends where we have, then Control C. So you copied it, then you come over here and do what? You paste it. So when you paste it, you will see what we have here. Okay, mapping. You can see what we have under mapping, the mapping. Now remember, we mapped them out. Okay, but now we are not going to copy this is wrong. What we did here is wrong because this is only expenses. Now when you have mapped out the last category or group of the financial details, take it back to all so that you show all of them, not only operating expenses. You are not sorting out only one aspect. So take it back. So take it back, you now see all of them, both revenue, cost of goods sold, operating expenses. You can see all of them mixed up now. Good. So this is what you will copy. So I'll click on the top, hold my shift, click down, then I say Control C. I've copied it. Then I'll come to the new sheet where we have income statement. I'll delete this one. This is only operating expenses, so it's wrong. So I'll delete it. Then I'll come and paste the new one we have mapped out. So I'll come here and say paste, Control V. So let me go and copy that again. So this is it, Control C. I come to income statement sheet, Control V. So you can see that I've just done what? Pasted all what I mapped out. So since I've pasted it, I want the main categories, not all. So what do? I don't want all of them. I want only the main categories to only appear for me to see. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove duplicates. I'm going to remove all the duplicated values because there are duplicated values that are here. So I'm going to remove them. So what do? Also, I'll say Control Shift down. Okay. Once I say Control Shift down, I can right click, okay, or I can come to where we have conditional formatting, come and say, let me come and remove duplicate values. You can see duplicate values that is somewhere here. Okay, I can say, okay, let's see how we can actually remove our duplicate values, or I will so I'm going to remove the duplicate values. So like I said, I will just highlight, say Control Shift down to all the data. Then what do? Okay, either I go through this part, conditional formatting, and go to highlight cell rules, duplicate, or that's waste of time. So instead, let me just come straight, go to your data. When you go to your data tab, you see duplicate, remove duplicate. Click on it. It will tell you remove from all of them. You say yes, map out those duplicated. You say okay. So what do you notice? Excel says 177 duplicates found, removed, and 3 unique values remain. So meaning that all these were duplicated. So I'm going to increase this so that we're going to see it clearly. So I've just increased it and I say double click by the side. Okay, so once you have done this, what do? You have mapped out the 3 accounts, statements, financial details that we have there. We have the revenue, cost of goods sold, operating expenses only, no tax, no interest, nothing. So what do? You now come here and bring out all the years. So if you go back to that account, you see 2019, 2020, 2021 are the years. So I'll come to income statement. I say this is for 2019, this is for 2020, and this is for 2021, because we want to analyze based on the trends. We want to know how we perform for these 3 years. Okay, it's very important, trend analysis. So what we are going to do at this point, I say use the corporate color. So let's say this is the corporate color of the organization. So what we are now going to do is this. Since we have done this now, what I'm going to do now is this. I will now use what we call the SUMIFS. And I told you, as an accountant, you must know how to use, or finance professional, you must know how to use the SUMIFS. Another one I will show you in our next class is what we call the sum product. So all these are tools you use for financial modeling. So now, since I say 219, now I want to know how have we performed. What is our total revenue for 219? What is our total revenue for 2020? What is our total revenue for 2021? Now for this mapping side, I may decide not to keep it. Okay, so I can just say, let me clear this mapping column. I can just right click and delete that column. So now for 219, we want to know how have we performed for 219, how have we performed for 2020 and 2021 before we can do our comparisons based on what we call the trend analysis. So I'll come under 219. I'll come under 219 where we have revenue. Okay, so I will come under 219, and when I come under this 219, I'm now going to run my financial statement, my SUMIFS, to solve that very problem, because we want to know our gross profit. So I will come under here and say let me insert or blah blah blah, but let us run let's calculate this from this given data. Let's calculate that. So right here I'll say revenue. What is our revenue? So I'm going to start by saying SUMIFS, so equal to, every formula starts with equal to SUMIFS. Then I click my tab key to bring out the bracket. Now in SUMIFS will always ask you some questions. What is the sum range? The sum range is the amount, because we want to know how much we made for revenue. Revenue is in amount, it's in figure, it's in amount. So we want to know how much did we make, okay, in our revenue. How much have we made as a business? So sum range is going to be the amount, because it's the amount we are calculating. We want to know how much we made. So I will, for sum range, okay, I will go to my manufacturing company main sheet and do what? This is the amount column. So I will select the amount column this way. Now anytime you're selecting a range, this is what we call a range. It's a group of data within a column. It's a range. So anytime you select a range, a whole combined column, you have to lock it fully. Now next class I will explain what we mean by the referencing. We have three types of referencing. We have the mixed referencing, we have the absolute referencing. All these are very important. Now I'm going to lock this fully using the absolute. You can use F4 on your keyboard, put $2 before and after. So what I'm going to do, since I've highlighted, I'll just say F4. So when I say F4, if you look at the formula bar, you see $2 appeared, one before the first D and one before the other D. So I'll then now say what? Comma. Then once I say comma, SUMIFS also asks me what is the criteria range. Okay, what is the criteria range? Now the criteria range is going to be, criteria range 1 is going to be what? Our year. We want to know the amount we made, how much we have made from our or how much we made for 2019, how much we made. Then we want to calculate it based on the year. So for that, our second criteria range 1 will always be your year, the year you're calculating for. We are calculating for 2019. So instead you go and copy all the year at that point. So I'm going to clear this thing that appear here. So I will come to manufacturing company and select all the year column. So the year column will always be our criteria range 1. Then I also fully lock F4. You see $2 appear before and after, before the next column B, row B, just like column B. So I also put my comma sign. Now the next says what is criteria 1. That's the main criteria. What are we calculating for? Criteria 1 is the current year. Yes, and we say criteria range 1 is all the years. Sum range is all the amount. Criteria range 1 is all the years. Now what is our criteria 1? That's the main criteria. If you go to that income statement, which year are we? The main year, we say 2019. So that's what we are now going to do, what? To calculate over there. We're going to calculate select 219. So the criteria 1 is 219. So I'll select 219 over there. Now when you select 219, you're not going to lock it fully. You use what we call the mixed referencing style. So for the mixed referencing style, I'm only going to put $sign between the column B row 3, okay, where the year is. Or I click on F4 2 times. You can see it puts $sign between that column. Then I say comma. So once you say comma, SUMIFS also asks you what is now the criteria range 2. The criteria range 2 is what are you calculating? We're calculating our revenue. So where is our revenue in? Our revenue is under the mapping column. So I'll come and select the mapping column. So when I select the mapping column, I'm also going to lock it fully. Remember I said that you have to lock all columns or range. That's what we call range combined. So I'm also going to say F4 once it locks it fully. So once I have locked it fully, I'm also going to say comma. Okay, that's the $2 referencing style. Then there's another criteria says, okay, now I've said criteria range 2 is this mapping, or you can call it financial statements category, account category column. Now what in that column are we looking for at presently? If you come here, we are looking for revenue. Inside that very column, we are looking for revenue inside this mapping column. So I will now come, okay, when I come, I can decide to clean this income statement that appear here. So when I come, I'm going to select revenue. Since we have it here, that's what we are working on. We want to calculate revenue out of all those accounts that we have there. So I'll click on revenue. Now when I click on revenue, I'm also going to use the mixed referencing style. So since this is a row where it is, it's not in a column like 219. I'm going to lock the row using the second mixed referencing style, where the dollar sign comes before the column and row. But where it is a column, it's a title column, you will use the first mixed referencing style. I will show you in the next class. So what am I going to do for revenue? I'll come and lock it. I'll put dollar before A4, or I use F4, or I use my F4 to be able to do that. So I'll say F4 1. Okay, sorry, let me come and clear this. So I say F4 1, F4 2, F4 3. So you can see that's the second misreferencing style. So once I've done this, I can close bracket, or I can click on enter. So when I click on enter, what do you notice? It shows me a particular amount. Hello, can you all see my screen? Hello, anybody hearing me? Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay, so you can see that it shows me this particular amount. Okay, so this is the total revenue we have made, but now it's not making sense. You must know how to format your numbers. So I'll come to number here on this format number board, and I can come over. You can see the amount, so I can come to custom. So how do I want to format it? Maybe I don't want to keep some variables or what, so I can just say I want to put it comma. The simple one all of us know. You can come here and click on comma. So you can see that our total revenue for 2019 was 42,977,498. If you use your calculator, if you doubt this, use your calculator, you will get this. So remove decimal, you come here, remove your decimal. So you can see that we actually made 42,977,498 million for 2019 alone for the manufacturing company. Then if you want to format it more, maybe you know now in accounting some people like putting 1 2 3, showing you that they have removed 3 0. So if you want to do that, you can highlight it, come under to number format, come to custom. When you come to custom, okay, this place here, clear it, use 0, 0 0 0, okay, comma. You can see that it has removed the 3 last numbers that we have. So this way I've removed it from millions. So someone will know that 0 0 is still there. So depending on how you want to format your number. Now this is where the interesting thing comes in as a financial modeler. Now they now told us that, please sir, I want to know the total we have made for total revenue we generated for 2020 and 2021. I don't need to go back and start calculating 2020 again and repeat same step. No. The purpose of this referencing that we did is to command this formula. If assuming we did not use referencing dollar sign to reference it, it would have been hard to derive how much we have made for 2020 and 2021. We would have calculated it again. But since we have referenced it using the dollar sign, all we have to do is to drag to 2020. It will give us how much we made in 2020. Now it's not showing, it's showing hash. Now you need to understand what we call errors in modeling in Excel. Whenever you see hash, know that the column weight is too small, so you have to expand it. I've told you, double click, so you can see how much we made for 2020. So I can also increase 2021, so I can drag also. It will give us how much we made for 2021. So you can see 2019 revenue, 2020, 2021. Same way, if I want to know the cost of goods sold, I don't need to go and calculate it from all this again. I don't have to do all that. What do I do? Since I've used SUMIFS and I've used the referencing to command the formula, I just have to drag. Or this little thing you're seeing here is called the angry rabbit. The man is very angry. He has anger problem. So I can double click on it. It will vomit everything. I can come here too, or I can drag this. It will command the formula for me. I can drag to this other side to command the formula for me. So you can see our operating expenses for 2019 was this. Operating expenses for 2020 was this. Operating expenses for 2021 was this. But now if you notice, it's like there was no changes in our operating expenses. Okay, it's showing same 257236, 257236, 257336. So you can see how it's showing, is displaying over there. Okay, so it means that it was stable. So now let's go and make changes in an operating expense. Look at 2020 operating expense. Is what is 2657236. So let's go here. Let's see where is one operating expenses. Let's change this operating expenses for February 2019. Let's say this was actually 50,000. Okay, so let's come to income statements. You notice that it has changed, right? 2530. Now we explain something for you. Okay, now I will explain something for you. So I hope all of you, I hope everyone is enjoying and learning something from this class, I believe. All right, now you can see that with the way we mapped out this and calculated this, it means that if, for example, you went through it, you notice that there was an error. Oh, revenue was not 2300 324, or cost of goods sold for sales office for 219 was not 512 300. It was actually 600,000. If you change it here, we have already linked it up, so it's also going to update the revenue and the cost of goods sold. And as I did that of operating expenses, you can see it was updated. So same way, I'll go to 2021, maybe 2021 expense. Okay, 2021 expense, 2021 expense, and expense in 2021 was, this was not 230,421. This was actually 27,000, 27,000, 27,000. So if I update it, you can see it has also dropped, reduced 2021 expenses to 2453815. Okay, so this is just what that modeling pattern helps you to achieve. So lastly, remember we're asked to make some calculation for our gross profit, that of our operating expenses, and that of our net profit. Of course, you know, to calculate our gross profit, you have to do what? You have to deduct our cost of goods sold from our revenue. Okay, so I can come here and say, let me put space, insert, I come under here, I say gross profit. So this will be our gross profit. And so our gross profit based on that question, because if you come to find the down, you see it here. We discuss some of real life examples to understand how to map a simple financial statement and to calculate the gross profit and operating profit as well as the net profit from the given information. And you can see that we have to understand the trends for this company called Peculiar Manufacturing Company, you know, for the year, for the year, for the years, for the year 2019, 2020, and 2021. The company wants to know how far they have gone, they have performed. So gross profit, okay, and I say the gross profit I'm going to deduct, I say equal to, I can use my equal to, I say revenue minus that of our what, cost of goods sold. I say enter. So you can see our gross profit. So I can also drag the angry rabbit. But if I don't want to drag the angry rabbit, I can come here and say control arrow, control arrow. It will give me what should be in the next column. Control arrow, it will also give me, or I drag that of our angry rabbit. So these very stubborn rabbits. So you can see I dragged it. So this becomes our what? This becomes our gross profit. So I can also come and give it a different color. So this is our gross profit. So our gross profit. So I can minimize it. This is our gross profits. Now also, I say that the question says our operating profit. So operating profit, you know, of course, we are going to deduct our operating expenses from our gross profit to get our operating profit. So if we have our EBIT, earnings before interest tax, also, but we'll look into that. So our operating profit is going to be, let's say operating profit. Operating profit is going to be what? Okay, we say this our operating expenses minus gross profit. So I also say equal to our gross profit minus our operating expenses. I enter. So you can see it here. So I can use the angry rabbit to command to drag, or I can come to the next column and say control arrow. It will put it for me. Control arrow, it will put it for me. So I hope someone is gaining value. So I can also color this, format this based on color, and say this is also our operating profit. So I can say, let me change the color, let me give it something different. Okay, so let this be like this. So you can see our operating profit is here, and I believe someone is learning something from this class. Okay, so now we'll remove these 3 zeros because we did not maintain 3 zeros. So you see how I formatted and the comma sign is maintained, so that when you're practicing you will not say, sir, you did not do it well. Then now, after operating profit, we want to calculate our net profit. That question says, and the net profit. So to calculate our net profit, I'll come here and say, after operating profit, we are not given tax in that question. We're not given interest in that question. So I can just say all these are blank, blank, dash, dash. Okay, all these are dash, dash. All these are dash, dash. I say dash. Okay, I can say dash. I can say dash. Or I can just say nil, or I leave it. Or what I'm just going to do, I can just say, since you are not giving all those information, no need, let me just clear them. Clear interest, clear tax. So let me just come here and say net profits, net profits, net profits. So now after saying net profit, what do we do? Okay, I'll now come here on net profit, and what am I going to do? My net profit is just going to be this. Okay, it's just going to be that. So I can just say equal to, I link this and I say enter. So this becomes our net profit also, because we don't have interest, we don't have tax, there's nothing we are deducting. So I can also come here and give this a color. I can come here and give this a very good color. And I say this is our net profit. Then I can reduce that of these other ones. Make them kind of smaller. Okay. So I believe somebody have learned something tonight. So you can see this way we have just answered that question to calculate our gross profit, our operating profit, and our net profit. Use your calculator. Calculate all the revenue, calculate all the expenses. It will give you this. It will still give you this total that we have here. So you can see right here that this company made this revenue. Now we are told to calculate the trend. The question did not only end here. Lastly, we are asked that please can you tell us the trends, run a trend analysis. So as a modeler, you must understand how to run trend analysis. It's very important. So what do you do to run the trend analysis for these various years? All I have to do is to run what we call understand the trends. The trends, because the trends is very important. The trends is very important. So what I'm going to do is this. I will move, okay, to that next column. So I will come here, because the trend, the purpose of the trend is to help us understand, to know our performance for 2019, 2020, 2021. It's what we call comparisons. We want to compare to know which year did we make more revenue. Okay, what was our cost of goods sold for which year? What was our gross profit for which year? Because if you look at it here, you may see it, but with the trend analysis, it gives you more meaning. It adds more insight for decision-making purpose. Management will understand it better instead of looking at all these figures. It may confuse some of them. Some of them used to have eye problem. They don't see clearly. Okay, so as financial modeler, you use the trend. So what do? I'll just come here to this next column after 2021. I'll right click. I'll just come, I'll just come to that text box there. Then what do? I'll now go to where we have our what? Insert. So insert tab, I will now come to line. You can see where we have line. Hello, can you all hear me? Hello everyone, can you hear me? Please, I want to know if you can hear me so that we can round up, please. Okay, you can hear me good. So I'll now come to the line. When I click from data tab to the line, it's now asking me what is my data range. Let me bring this down here so I can see. Data range, what are the data I want to compare to know their trends, trend analysis. I'll click on this arrow. I'll now go and select those data. From revenue from 2019, these are the data. I will select it. When I select it, I'll now click down because I want to compare them. So I'll now click down. Then location range, where do I want the trends calculation to be displayed? Is on this column E cell, column E row 4. So I'll now say location range column E row 4. I'm already there, otherwise I would have gone to and selected it. So I'll say okay. So what do you see? You can see a trend appeared. So I can expand this to make it wider. So now with this, what this means is that someone can see that in 2019 our 2019 was a kind of high. Our revenue for 2019 was high, but at a point it reduced. There was a decline. That was in 2020. 2019 was 42,977,498 million. 2020 it reduced to 42,061,130. 2021 it increased to 43,769,748. So we can see that this way it means that 2020 we had a low performance. 2021 we had the highest performance. Same way I can drag down how much was our expense have we paid expense. You can see it also. Expenses was a bit high in 2019, was a bit low, it was low in 2019. It now increased in 2020 and dropped in 2021. You can see same thing with gross profit. Our profit was kind of high a little in 2019, but in 2020 our profit dropped but increased in 2021. So same way we can also drag this down to net profit. You can see that the worst performance year was 2020. 2021 was fine, was even the highest, followed by 2019. So this is what we call trend analysis. So as a financial modeler, you must understand how to run your trend analysis. Is very important. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to stop in tonight's class, and this is financial modeling. Okay, and I'm using Excel. There are a lot of things you will learn here. We have the what if analysis, where we have combination for forecasting tools like tools like your two input and one input data table, your scenario manager, your goal seek, a lot of them. We have the audit function. Okay, I'm going to round up with that. Okay, so with this we are done with this, and you can decide to go and put this inside the border. You highlight everything, you come to the border, you say all borders. Okay, format it perfectly. Okay, then for the net profit, you want to put double line, so you also highlight and come to all to double, bottom double border, but it's not showing because of the color we use for background. So I can come and edit that background color. So maybe I will say, let me use something like light, something light. Then let me also change the inner text to something light. Okay, so I can use something like this. So you can see net profit, you can see the double lines on it. So I can even make it thick. I can come here and format more borders. So I can make the upper thick, but I will change the color first. So let the color be something thick. Let it be red. I make it thick, not this side, the up and down. I can also change the color weight to this to make it thick. I say the up and the down. I say okay. So you can see I've just taken it. So this one is supposed to be double color, so I come down to double bottom, so you can see how it is. So ladies and gentlemen, this is it. You can see our trend analysis helps you achieve that. Then we have another tool for auditors, okay, which we call the trace precedent and trace dependent. Maybe you went to a company to audit and you want to know, based on their report, you have prepared this, you want to know how did you get this net profit. To do that, you can use F2. F2 will show you the formulas that was used to calculate this. If I click on F2 now, it shows me the formula that we just did equal to D8, and that's D8 operating profit. But if I don't want to use that, if I don't want to use that, I can actually, instead of doing that, let me just say undo. Sorry. Okay. So if I don't want to do that, I can come over here to something like this. I can also say my F2, and I'll be able to see all was used to calculate that. But like I said, if I don't want to do that, okay, I can use the trace precedents. From here to now, we'll go to 2021. I can say trace and precedent, and you can see 2021 was gotten through computation of all this from our cost of goods sold, total for 2019, 2021, blah blah blah. So this is just how you can get started. Then if I want to remove the arrows, I can actually go back and say remove arrows from that tab where we have trace precedent. Trace dependent is to check which variable does that number, that amount depend on. Okay, if I say trace dependent, it will link me here to net profit too. So if I say trace dependent, you can see it links me to gross profit for me to be able to achieve that outcome. So thank you very much. And see trace dependent, it says that 38 and gross profit is depending on this amount. How this amount was dependent on the others. So this is just how to work here. So thank you everyone for staying. My name is Williams Miracle, and my number is always here, 09068408000, for a comprehensive training on financial modeling, data analytics for accountants and finance professionals, accounting softwares, packages, and definitely we are after giving you value. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. YouTube channel. Thank you.